There is a life force, a vitality, an energy, quickening, that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all of time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will not exist in any other medium, and it will be lost. The world will not have it. It is not your business to determine how good it is, nor how valuable, nor how it compares to the expressions of others. It is your business to keep it yours, clearly and directly, to keep the channel open. You do not even have to believe in yourself or your work. You have to stay open and aware to the urges that motivate you. Keep the channel open. No artist is pleased. There is no satisfaction whatever at any point. There's only a queer divine dissatisfaction, blessed unrest. Keeps us marching and makes us more alive than others. Martha Graham.
How was church this morning?
It was good, actually. It was really good. I love going to the Boston Avenue Methodist Church.
Yeah. Tell people like what that church is and why you
So the same person who designed this building was heavily involved in the Boston Avenue Methodist Church. It's a beautiful, one-of-a-kind Art Deco masterpiece. And I have found that being surrounded by beautiful things and literally inside a building dedicated to beauty has impacted my psyche in the most positive way. So that's one of the things I love about.
You've developed quite an affinity for organ music.
Yes, I'm about to put another piece of candy in my mouth. I got to stop it. I love organ music. It's one of the most. It is the ultimate instrument. It's an instrument that is also a building. An incredible level of engineering and process goes into making all of these things, these pipes, and it's just fascinating.
Isn't it like $1 million organ?
Multi. It's like $3 and some change $1 million organ restoration they just did. Shout out to Evan, the organist. He plays incredible pieces every Sunday. It's a completely different set of music that he does, and so I always make sure that I'm there to sit in that and be just bombarded with sound waves. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that longtime viewers of the show will appreciate just the update on your journey from, very staunch atheist to weekly churchgoer at a very, it's an incredible building. And it's a work of art. And there is something special that happens just walking into that space.
Totally.
Speaking of music, our guest today is a musician, a really great one, actually. He has done a lot in his career. I think there's something about live music. I mean, really all music started out as live music, and like recorded music, you can watch, people perform on YouTube or TV and it can be great, but there's something about like people in a room with, whether it's instruments, like you do acoustic instruments. We have our Parlor Unplugged series that people can watch. People perform at your house. You do your salons.
As a matter of fact, our next guest had performed at the salon.
Well, and this is where I was going. I admired his singing just from like what I had seen. He was on The Voice and he's on Instagram and, we'll post clips and post a lot of, he also releases music on Spotify for streaming and things like that. So it was one of those things where I'm like, I think he's a great artist. I thought I knew what I was getting myself into. And then I show up at the Parlor and I'm just overtaken by the beauty of his voice.
Yeah. Bring it back to church.
My
Take
God.
you to church.
Literally.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
He did Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, among other songs. And it was just stunning. The word stunning is thrown around a lot these days, but really, really stunning.
Oh, yeah. So I think it's time that we welcome him out.
I guess now would be
the time.
A really good time to do that.
Okay, well, I want you all to give us a warm welcome as we welcome out the one and only Jamar Rogers.
So, man, good to see you. Welcome.
Man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, I've received that.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you for coming on
Really
the show.
glad you're here.
Yeah, my pleasure.
For being here.
Yeah, you guys have been on a roll.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you've been talking your shit. I love it.
Yeah.
You've been staying tapped in.
Oh, I am. Yeah. Bro.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Your biggest amen corner.
Wow. Hell yeah. I've seen you always commenting and liking on the posts, and I'm just like, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Thank you for using your voices for something so productive and bringing people together. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's kind of what you do, right? I'm impressed by, this is the thing I think about when you have people's attention. It is, it's something you have to, it's like, it's a lot of responsibility. And then to go further and try to offer them something valuable with that attention, for me, it's just nerve-wracking because I'm worried, like, what if I tell them what I think is right and then they take my advice and it ends up being wrong? So, you know, I noticed on social media, you make these fantastic videos of affirmation and helping people kind of find their way and a way to just manage what it is to be human in 2025. All of those things, which you seem to handle very well. And I'm curious to know, like, how do you, that seems like, that to me is such a nerve-wracking thing. What is your, like, North Star that guides you through that?
Well, I don't make a video unless I have something to say. I learned a long time ago that, like, there's a lot of voices out there, people just talking to be heard. And I didn't want to be just another voice, like, on the internet. I wanted to actually say something. So I haven't put out any content for, like, the last 5 days. So I have anything to say. And when I have something to say, I'll feel like this burning desire, and then I'll act on it. That's how.
Wow.
But like my North Star is just like embracing this human experience. I spent majority of my life trying to escape the human experience through, like, religion, through drugs, and I'm now at this spot where I'm like, oh wait, this is, like, badass. Like the highs and the lows, all of it is really, really beautiful, and not to sound too woo-woo, but, like, it really is beautiful when you look at how far you've come from where you've been. And so lately I've just been really big on, like, embodying, like, what does embodiment mean? Beyond just, like, feeling my emotions in my body, but, like, am I really practicing what I preach? Am I really, like, walking the walk? Or
I think this is the thing when you mentioned religion and leaders, and I'm kind of getting to this. I have a lot of experience with spiritual leaders. I grew up in this church that was commonly referred to as a cult. It had a certain guy who claimed to be the Messiah, and everybody followed him, believed he really was the Messiah. And my dad was a very high leader in that. And I would see he did it with the utmost sincerity and belief. I don't think there was any, I don't think he was deceiving anybody. And I followed in that as well. I was like, okay, well, the coolest thing is to be a pastor because that's my dad, and he's also an incredible singer and performer, and so I started going that way, and I was like did a youth pastor thing, and I brought somebody into the Unification Church, and then later I left that, and I've left religion entirely, and I don't know if I identify as an atheist. I am technically a Methodist. I go to the Boston Avenue Methodist Church. I was baptized. Hallelujah.
wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know you got baptized.
Yeah. Well, to be a member, I had to get baptized.
And, like, in front of everyone, or is it?
I asked for a private baptismal. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not ready to do the whole. But you know, the thing is, like, what I believe God to be for me is I have a very loose definition. Let's put it that way. But I have this innate fear now of leading people astray, where it's not that I have this idea, I'm going to exploit people and get their money and tell them this and tell them that. That's one way of leading people astray, which I think most people think pastors or spiritual leaders that lead people astray are doing it maliciously. The thing that's way scarier to me is me sincerely trying to help people and say, here's the answer, here's what you need to do, here's how you're going to get better, here's what your problems are, and be completely fucking wrong. So because of that, I'm just like, and I freeze up, and now I find myself in somewhat of a leadership position. People come to my house, and I always try to find some kind of message to galvanize what we're doing. And it's just terrifying. So hearing you talk about the inspiration when you have something to say, that's an interesting guiding force. And anyway, yeah, that's just
No, yeah, I think a helpful frame, at least for me, is like you don't necessarily think about it as like, oh, I have some, or like if I put something out there, like I'll write on Substack or something, and it's not necessarily like, oh, I have a word, I got to deliver this to the people. A really cool frame for me is like, I'm talking to my younger self, and I'm actually telling myself something that like I would have liked to have heard, something that through like living life and having experiences, like I've come to a realization. And instead of like prescribing behavior for everyone, it's talking about your own journey and kind of speaking to yourself. And then the cool thing is like, those are the things that often resonate with people, you know?
Authenticity is going to always resonate. And I know, to piggyback on that, I most of the videos I put out, they're sermons to me. Like, they're messages to me that I was just in the shower having to myself. And I'd be like, that'd be kind of a cool TikTok. And so, that's how I figure out what to say.
Man, it's crazy because every time I look up like how to gain an audience, the answers are never what I want to hear. What I want to hear is make a video this long, use this light, have this script, do it with this background, post it this time of day, tag these people, and it'll go big. And it's like, no, the answers you get are like, oh, be authentic, say the truth. And it's like, that's actually not helpful because I don't know how to fucking do that. That's not okay. It's like, it would be way easier if they're like, you need a multi-million-dollar camera. Cause then I could be like, well, I can't win now. Like there's nothing, but the answer, right? The truth is it's like, no, you have to tell what is your truth.
Absolutely.
You have to be authentic. You have to be sincere, which is difficult to do. Especially if you're like, yeah, but I'm not cool. Like, I don't want to sincerely be the uncool me. I want to be the cool me.
I feel like, being uncool has been what's gotten me the most followers. Because think about it, if we're vibrational creatures, people pick up on vibes before they can like pinpoint what it is they like or dislike about you. And what I realized, when you are being just honest and sincere, people can pick up on that and that resonates. And they will follow you if you just rolled out of bed, got crusties in your eyes, but you're saying something that is truly from the heart, people will resonate with that. Yeah.
Man.
What did it take you? What was your process of like, do you identify as like a content creator?
No,
or like,
I do.
Yeah. So what was your process of like, I mean, do you remember the early days? Was it ever like hard for you to like, I mean, we've talked in previous episodes about just like, the conflict of like, oh, like I want to post, but I also don't want to post, and like putting yourself out there. And then it's like, you have to make 100 shitty videos before you make your first good one. Like, what was that kind of process like for you of like showing up online and putting yourself out there in that like very authentic way?
It was awkward and cringe, and I did it all wrong at first. It's like any art form, you don't start off being great. You might have like a natural gift or talent for something, but you have to like hone your craft, right? So in the beginning, I didn't start making TikToks till the middle of the pandemic. I thought I was too late. I thought I was too old. I thought it was just like kids dancing, right? And I kept getting this message. People are like, hey, you should get on TikTok. You have a lot to say. You should get on TikTok. So my very first TikTok was awful. I used the wrong filters. I didn't know what I was doing. And then I just kind of started spending time on TikTok and just kind of seeing what the lay of the land was. But at the same time, I was masking. Making content helped me unmask once and for all. I wasn't out with my sexuality.
Really? Is that
I felt like it was something that people like knew. It was like, don't ask, don't tell. Like, we just didn't talk about it. But I didn't like come out and say it publicly or anything until TikTok.
Holy shit, are you serious?
2021, 2022, yeah.
Wow. It's crazy because me knowing you now, I just can't even I cannot imagine.
I know, it's so
because
sad.
Talking about authenticity.
And I was not that. I was definitely like code switching, and my voice was deeper. And so when I watched some of those old videos, I give myself a lot of love because I didn't know any better. But I kept getting permission to just be my full self. And that has helped me in every
So wait, who or where, what,
life.
when, how did that happen?
So I got on TikTok during the pandemic because I wanted to promote a song, and people were like, oh, if you're putting out a song, this is the new way to promote your music. And I was like, man, I just want to sing. I don't want to make content. But I did have a lot to say. I have a story. I have a hell of a beginning, and not only that, even if I didn't have the story that I have, I'm a human being. And there's a lot of stuff that we go through day to day that we think that we are like in our little isolated, chamber. Like we think we're the only one going through it. And it helps for someone to say out loud, like, I'm going through it too. And maybe I don't have the way out, but we'll figure it out together. That feels so good to people. And when I started seeing people do that for me, I was like, I think I could do that. I like you, have a history in being a youth pastor, youth minister. So like, I already knew how to like talk to people, but this whole like just being real and being vulnerable, that's new. That's been in the last few years. And I'm so glad I did, because it's helped me in every area.
So what was the catalyst of getting real and getting vulnerable?
I was in a relationship. I decided to like tell everybody about it. I was like, you know what? COVID was happening. I knew 3 people that had died. And I was like, am I going to like live the rest of my life scared of what people think about me? Like, do I really care that deep? Is it that deep? Am I going to be on my deathbed? Like, regretting all the things I never said. And so I said, you know, screw it. This is who I am. The people that are going to be for me are going to be for me. And if they're not, then do I really want them here?
Oh my gosh.
And the biggest experience I've had, like what has like calmed all my fears down, for every one hater I might have in the comments, I'll have 3 supporters. And so for any of you out there that are listening and you have like this burning desire to put yourself out there and you are afraid to be seen, you're afraid of being perceived, or you're afraid of being judged, a lot of that judgment is coming from inside the house. The call is coming from inside the house. And if you can make peace with being embarrassing, if you can make peace with not being perfect all the time, I promise you will find the people that are for you.
It's funny, like when you actually think about like, anytime you like maybe craft a post, whatever your medium is, and you have like that hesitance to be like, literally, who are the people that like, and actually thinking about it, and you're like, and it's like, for me, it's like the most like, I'm like, why am I thinking about this person from middle school? Why am I thinking from this person I used to work with? Like, why? Like, it's not like your mom or your dad always. It's like, it's these weird people that for some reason have psychic energy that you're connected to, that you're like, you are like weirdly keeping up appearances for them.
And weirdly caring about their opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, it is an interesting thing. Something that was interesting to me about like your story of coming out and finding yourself. When I came to Tulsa, I met Carl Jones through Neil Wade, who we have a friend in common with. And Neil Wade took me to a lot of Carl's events because that was the coolest thing happening, really. And I remember going to like RuPaul's drag show screenings the first time I'd seen it. Grew up in a church that's highly homophobic. And I always knew that I wasn't like the straightest kid. And I was like, always nervous about that. Anyway, the thing that was amazing being around in the queer community was seeing the unmasking. And how proud, like the concept of pride, and seeing people truly proud of themselves. And we're in Oklahoma, right? This is not California, right? Where there are people who could die, right? That's a thing you have to think about. So it takes a lot of courage. There's a whole set of society that may not fuck with you when they realize like, oh, you're queer. That's still a thing. So seeing all these people in the face of that, celebrate who they are, their true authenticity. It helped give me the invitation to do it for myself. And I was like, man, I could never imagine. And I just had to. It was infectious. It was contagious. And I'm like, that's so much of that gave me the confidence and inspiration to be authentic and to be like, you know, shout out to Carl Jones and Neil Wade for.
I love that.
I mean, so it's interesting. So to me, I'm like, of course, it's no coincidence that when you come out is when you fully. You know, like, and that's a thing that I've observed. I wonder, like, straight communities don't have a moment like that where they get to witness somebody say, hey, everybody, I'm no longer faking it. Like, this is really who I am. This is really how I feel. And I'm going to express myself and I'm going to dress the way I actually feel. I'm going to confirm who I really am. In fact, don't fucking call me that name anymore because that's a dead name. Like that whole thing, straight people don't have that.
It's a rite of passage.
It is, right? And then you see this person become so who they really are. Yeah. It's so inspiring. So me watching that happening to other people, like, oh, wow, watching this person come out and hearing this story and seeing that, yeah, it gave me, it was a huge part of me, like having my own coming out. Now, in my case, I wasn't having to deal with the ramifications, right, of the doors that close and the relationships that you lose or potentially could lose, even in 2025, which is fucking crazy to think that we've made so much progress, but yet we have so far to go. Anyway, I don't know. I'm curious to know. I want to know more about kind of this. It sounds like there's been a transformation that happened during COVID, and I want to know more about that story.
Well, I just kept getting affirmed from family members, affirmed from strangers that were like, thank you so much because I see a lot of myself in you. But the real affirmation came in the form of green energy, money. I got an agency from it. I started working with brands. Like I went through a course through TikTok and this other program called One Creator Lab that taught, it was a 20-week course that matched influencers with advertisers. And we learned it was advertising one-on-one. And so they wanted to work with me because of my storytelling, my authenticity. And so what I kept finding is the more I'm myself, not only am I loved and accepted, I can make money off of this. I can make a living off of this. There's no better validation than that.
Did you meet Megan Shepard through One Creator?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Former guest on the show.
So Megan is why I'm back in Tulsa.
And she also, and we all met on the same day through Meg as well.
Yeah. Meg got me in touch with Experience Tulsa, who brought me out here for a month to make content. And I was like, oh, maybe I should move back to Tulsa. And here we are.
You did it. You fell right into the plan.
Man, Tulsa is such a cool ecosystem to be a creative person in.
It is.
Yeah, we were just talking. We've had Josh Fadum on the show, and we were talking about. I don't know. To me, this is kind of my observation, and there may be more pieces that I'm trying to still get focus on. But I think about the thing that a lot of other artistic communities and creative places, people go there to try to find success. And I wonder how much of them going into their creative practice is for that same reason, to find some kind of success. It's not necessarily, I really like playing the guitar and want to find a way where I can spend all my time playing the guitar and still make a living doing it. It's, I want to be showered with praise and be on stage and have the lights and the fan hitting my long hair and a guitar. I'll play a guitar, right? It becomes just a tool to make this other thing happen. And I think that one of the things we're graced with in our town is that because we don't have these massive record companies and massive film industry and we don't have big brand houses and stuff in downtown, there's less of an incentive to perform and try to fit this kind of person who makes a certain kind of way to then get success. So if you're making your art, it's because there's going to, hopefully there's going to be some people that want to see it.
And there's a genuine passion for it. What I have found in being here for this last year, Tulsa is like a container city. It's a good place for you to figure out what you want to create, why you want to create. It's a great place to get quiet, to feel that creative nudge within you. And when I was in LA, I was creating out of necessity to pay my really expensive rent. The fun got sucked out of it because it was just oh, okay, I have this brief, let me work on this. Out here, it's been let's go walk by the river for a little bit and see, oh, wow, I hear a melody for a song. And I'm getting intuitive hits and creative hits out here that I have not gotten, not living in New York or LA. So
wow.
How much
there's
of
a
that
magic here.
How much of that do you think is the magic of Tulsa as an energy vortex versus so I'm someone that am from here, I moved away and came back. And the process of coming back was you're remembering the child you and you're seeing all these familiar, oh, I used to go on Riverside as a kid. And so it's and I moved back when I was 30. So it's I felt like I was an adult and I had become this different person. And then you come back and suddenly you feel like your child self again. And then you have to work through all that shit. And then you have to now I'm 40 and now I'm actually an adult. Cause but I wonder, I've contemplated myself, cause I do think Tulsa is a special place. I think there's something weird here energetically, but I also think that there's something about coming home and reconnecting with the place that for better or for worse, you wouldn't be who you are without this place. And so I wonder for you, since you've been back about a year now, you said, so I wonder how much of your process and the way you're feeling creatively tapped in right now, do you feel is about reconnecting with home and heart and where you came from versus just maybe the unique specialness of Tulsa?
For me personally, it's the 100% reconnecting with home and heart. I had to come and make peace with the city. When I left back in 2000, I said, I hate I didn't just hate Tulsa. I hated Oklahoma. I will never come back to that state. People would talk about it. I would instantly make a face. I'd have like a visceral reaction to the word Oklahoma, right? I was triggered by just the thought of Oklahoma.
Damn.
And coming back here, and I was raised in Broken Arrow and the whole Rhema, world view. And so like walking around there and walking around Broken Arrow and walking around Tulsa, I've just been making peace. And then not just forgiving the city, but thanking the city. And I mentioned this earlier, like all of the dark moments, right? Our dark nights of the soul, which were just endings that led to new beginnings. I'm so grateful for them because they did make me the person I am. And yeah, I lost a lot of friends and family out here. But the reason I went into the closet was because Oklahoma taught me it wasn't safe to be out of the closet, right? And so for me to come back here, be in an openly gay relationship, being my authentic self, creating, it is doing something for my inner child. It's showing my inner child a new reality, and that Oklahoma is not the big boogeyman that I once made it to be. I'm also a firm believer that what I put out, I get back. And so the energy I'm putting out, which is kindness, warmth, compassion, and understanding, I don't care what anybody's political views might be, what their religious background might be, I'm finding common ground with folks I would have not found common ground without. And I'm not experiencing the things I experienced as a teenager because I'm not looking for it.
Oh my gosh, I think of it like we find what we look for.
Exactly.
And so just amen to that.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like you've used some vocabulary that like may or may not be familiar to all of our audience. Like when we talk about like being vibrational beings, and then like, do you have like a sort of grand theory of like energetics and like how it works, so to speak, and like your sort of like, the sort of POV that you approach your life and the way that we talked about your affirmation videos, which I imagine comes into play with this line of thought.
I have a theory, I mean, don't we all have, we have educated guesses.
Yeah.
For me, I think that we are sovereign beings. I think that we are fractals of the divine, having singular experiences, but we are all fractals of one divine. I think that separation is an illusion. I think that is why we are to love each other as we love ourself, the great high holy self, the one self, the one God having billions of experiences. I think that it is for us to figure out how to work together. No one's coming to save us. I think that and just to alleviate some of the pressure you put on yourself about maybe saying the quote unquote wrong thing, I think that people are capable of being their own saviors. I think that all you have to do is be a way shower. Just live your life in a way that is a beautiful example that people come and ask, hey, what are you doing? That I want a piece of that. And then you don't have to worry about saying the wrong thing. You're just living your life, right? There's that vibration of authenticity. So I do think that the universe is a vibrational universe that responds to the frequency that we send out. And so I got off of my knees from a posture of begging and started to stand on my feet and become a co-creator to create the reality that I want. And does that mean that everything goes my way? No. But then what happens, I get to be the constant observer inside, the silent witness that is observing everything going on externally, and then I get to decide what I want to react to. And then those reactions that are out of my control, those triggers, then that's an invitation. That's a deeper invitation for me to get to know myself even more, because obviously there's something here I haven't looked at. There's some sort of emotion, some sort of energy in motion I have not integrated. And the more I integrate, the more I become a fully realized being.
Yeah, it's interesting because I love this kind of everything you're saying. And I think about the people who disagree with this kinds of
wholeheartedly.
Yeah, well, and I think that there's like this concern, right? I think the concern is that, okay, well, if you act that way, how do you hold accountable the wrongdoers, the people who need to be corrected and set straight? How do we hold them accountable? Jamar, how do we hold them accountable if we're just, totally recognizing how we have to respond? So I'm curious to know how you I don't necessarily feel that, but I know that that's
Sure.
At least every time that people that are have something to say.
I think that our modern approach to accountability and punishment is an extremely colonial approach, a patriarchal approach that we need shame. I don't believe in shaming someone. I don't see that shame has ever worked effectively. Not the way that perfect love cast out all fear. And so I feel like when you are walking in the way, like earlier followers of Jesus didn't call themselves Christians, they called themselves followers of the way. When you're walking on this middle path, the spirit, the great spirit, the spirit of life will send you folks that will keep you accountable, will send you situations that will keep you accountable. I've been going through this whole kidney transplant process now for a couple of years, and I've been in dialysis for the last year. It is by far, I've been through some humbling shit. This has by far been the most humbling thing. But through it all, I don't think I would have been in Tulsa. I don't think that I would be learning so much about myself and some of these hidden triggers that were there. This is what's keeping me accountable. Life is keeping me accountable. It's not my job to hold my brother accountable. My job is to love my brother and to support my brother. And if we don't agree, we can agree to disagree. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to argue a point with you. I'm more excited to find where we do agree. Let's talk about what we want to see happen as opposed to what we don't want to see happen. So I don't think it's my job to hold you accountable.
I love I think it's a Ram Dass quote that basically the only thing I can do for anyone else is to work on myself.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? And like, that's basically what we're talking about. It's like, and I think this kind of worldview is sometimes misperceived as selfishness because it's like you are very tapped in, you know, to your soul, you're following your intuition, you're staying in alignment, which I think when I say alignment, I mean like the way, like it's like there is a path that like I feel it when I'm on it and like but also like I'm never not, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but you're never not on the path. Yes.
But it's like your awareness of the path shifts. But that is what I think we actually need more of, is like, because if everyone is like tapped into their intuition and following their soul's path, then that will naturally co-create like the world that we want to live in.
Thank
I think
you.
that like when we get off track is when we, and you know, this is, you know, something that is a wound of the church for a lot of people. It's like, a lot of like religious teachings kind of tell you to disregard how you're feeling, disregard like what your spirit is maybe leading you to do, because there's this other thing, and like, you're just a human, you don't really know anything. And so that's kind of like telling people to disregard themselves. And so then people get off track because they're just kind of shooting in the dark as far as like what they're doing and where they're going, versus like self-awareness and intuition is actually like leading you into greater accord with everyone else, because you know, we're all on that path. I'm curious, like how you got, I don't know exactly your like upbringing in the church or like where you're at on like religion, but I'm curious how a lot of people leave religion and, you know, sort of throw the baby out with the bathwater. And it feels like you have integrated even like, I'm hearing like teachings of Jesus along with like Buddhism, like along with, you know, probably a number of other things. And I feel like one of the cool things about where spirituality is evolving is like a lot of people are sort of just like taking wisdom traditions and like finding the things that resonate, letting go of the things that don't, and kind of like creating a belief system that works for them. But I'm curious like how you bridged like your religious upbringing to like where you are now with your spiritual views.
Well, I was in it, you know, I was born on a Tuesday. The next Sunday I was in church. And so like from a very, very early age, I loved God. I remember crying out to God when I was like 3 or 4, you know, at the altar. I loved the music. I loved everything about church. I went to bed listening to Bible stories. So I was indoctrinated at a very young age, but I also knew at the age of 7 that I was gay. And though I didn't have the vocabulary for that, I knew I was going to hell. Like I subconsciously knew that. And so I was also suicidal as a child. And so I had this weird relationship with God where I was like obsessed with God. I was like pining after him, panting after him, but also felt like I could never get close enough to get God's love. Like God would never love me. And that was reflected in all of my human relationships, with my romantic relationships, with my parents. Like I never felt fully accepted or loved by the people that claimed to love me. And so, let's see, I first backslid and left the church when I was 18 and became a drug addict for like 5 years, hit a very horrible rock bottom, got back in the church and was like, oh, that's why, you know, I left God, became a praise and worship leader, got married, did everything I thought was right, but still was just so depressed, so unhappy. And then I started doing this thing where I'm going to call it dating God. I started having these really interesting moments with the divine. And all I could do was play on my piano and sing these love songs to God for hours. And I now realize I was going down the bhakti yoga tradition, which is just devotion, which is a great way to self-realize, is just devoting to something greater than yourself, devoting to love. And it was through there that the Holy Spirit was like, I think that you should audition for The Voice. And after I left The Voice, I was still I gave all glory to God while I was on that show. Like, I was worshiping God publicly. And what's also, my ego was like big, because I was like, look at me giving God glory. Like, I'm such a Christian. And then I read this book called Pagan Christianity in 2013, and it just rocked my world. It just showed me how a lot of the traditions in the church were rooted in paganism. The one thing that I was like so against. And so I went into like this deep depression, because I started grappling with my relationship with the church and with the tenets of the church and with the tenets of Paul, to be specific. I was like, this is not resonating. It's not vibing with me the way Jesus's words vibe with me. So then I went on like this really long journey where I hated God. I hated religion. I went with the Santeros for a little bit. I went
What is that?
The Santeria in New York. I started going to some of their rituals. I liked the drums, but I still wasn't like resonating there either. I went to some Buddhist stuff. I started chanting with the Hare Krishnas. I became a seeker. I was just seeking. And then I became a certified meditation teacher in 2022. And that's when I started learning some foundational tenets of Hinduism and Buddhism. And that's when I began to realize that the reason that I'm not able to find a lasting love in my day-to-day is because I'm still thinking that there's a God that hates me. And I'm what I like to call sin conscious. I'm so aware of my sin that I'm not aware of nirvana. I'm not aware of the kingdom that is alive within me now. And where your attention is, where you rest your attention is what will grow, right? So I began to really take in the words of Jesus. If the kingdom of heaven is in me here now, and go and sin no more doesn't mean to me go stop being a sinner. It means stop looking at your human condition as a sinful one. And see it as a human condition. See it as something that you are here to experience, not something you are to overcome, something you are to embody. Being human is divine. Being human is powerful. And so my story has been one from switching to being on my knees to understanding my sovereignty. I don't think that I am God. I don't think that I have any authority over anyone, but I do think that I have a spark of God in me. And because that spark is in me, I have the authority to say a thing and to speak a thing and to say what I would like to see happen.
This is what people mean when they say change happens within you.
Yes.
And it's incredible. Another way of saying what you're saying is you shifted the story that you tell yourself about who you are.
Yes.
And there's this amazing thing that happens when you tell yourself a different story.
Yes.
And then you start living in the world like that story is true. Then everything external seems to mold. There's this weird malleability thing that I see in the universe that all shifts, and suddenly you find yourself walking into a new reality.
Absolutely.
But it started with you telling yourself a different story.
And then what also happens, I started playing a game. If I believe that there's a spark of God in me, then I believe there's a spark of God in you and in you. And so now I play a game. God, I'm looking for you wherever I go. And I believe I'm going to have a God moment, whether it's at the supermarket, whether it's at one of your parties, whether it's on Riverside. I'm going to have a God moment because God is in everything and everywhere.
Trueson might just have an awakening right here.
Yeah, I am. It's like, I'm like, how did I find myself on a show where now every person who gets on here, we talk about God, we talk about Jesus and the Bible. And this is Chris was joking earlier today about me professing my faith in atheism. That was
if you watch some of the earlier episodes of the show, Trueson was in a much different place. And then we took
well, I can't say that I'm no longer,
No, go watch. I think it was Michaela Young's episode.
No, I know.
And you were I'm an atheist.
What I was saying, Chris, is I haven't changed my position. I am a Methodist, and I do go to that church a lot. But again, God, I have a very loose term for what I think that is.
What is your loose term?
I would say that I think it's inherently miraculous that we're here.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's miraculous, whatever that is. Okay, if it's a Big Bang, that's miraculous. And And to me, I think so I call that God, but I'm not a fan of the narrative that God is like an awake conscious that's observing and looking, and that still doesn't feel right to me. And it seems to me that much of the story of other people's experience of God that I hear is not one that I'm really ready to believe in yet. So I don't know, but I remember that when I was very religious and devout, I had a relationship with what I believed was God. In the way I prayed, and I would hear a voice and feel guidance and have these, big moments. And as I changed my opinion on that as I learned more and had more questions, ironically, I started trying to debate my brother-in-law who left the church and became an atheist. I wanted to debate him and be know all of his arguments, so that when we would have these dinner conversations, I could be like, oh yeah, what about? So I started studying these atheists that he was referencing. And as I was studying them, I was like, oh shit, man. Oh damn. I think we're in trouble. Right. It totally backfired, which is there's lots of scientific atheists is the term some people call it, that feel so smart. We feel so smart. We're like, oh, you dum-dums with your religion. But if you were smart like me and knew all the different ways the brain can trick you into perceiving, we have these stories that leave me feeling like I'm smart and I know what's going on. I got it all figured out. And I'm sure that's why I still hide in that position, and why I'm not ready to kind of go out there and say, oh, maybe I am a believer. Maybe there is God. I think also there's the shame of changing your opinion when you've stated something. And it's hilarious because in every other endeavor in life, I'm like, that's a waste of your time. Don't worry about it. Nobody else really cares. And what's far more foolish is to hold on to something you don't believe in, because you have to try to keep up with how others are perceiving you. Especially, and this is where I feel like it's the most important to us, the people who will be most happy to hear you change your position are usually the ones that we want to give that to the least. And I don't know why. So it's my parents, right? I'm sure they would just be like, oh my gosh. What I'm really worried about is them being like, I told you so.
Yeah.
Right. And I was telling my therapist about this because she's been kind of trying to push me toward God. And I'm just like, more than anything, it's just, having all the people that are like, yeah, Trueson, you've been wrong. We told you. I just hate that feeling. And I know that most people don't care. And the truth is, if they're like, oh, wow, you found this thing that's valuable and helpful for you, it's a celebratory moment and we're all happy. But I don't know. I just can't give them that satisfaction.
The thing about it is there is an inherent relationship between so you talked about being on the artist journey, quitting your job, fully committing to your path. What I think I'm reflecting to you, or attempting to reflect to you, is that is an inherently spiritual process. And you are letting go, you've let go of your old life. So you've died. And now you have been in the process of resurrecting. And there is, so now you're out in the world and you're following your passion and you're following your intuition, and that's leading you to this project and that's leading you to this project. The thing is the soul journey is a journey of self-realization, self-expression, and that is awakening. And so it's not a coincidence that now you're hosting a podcast and now you're doing all these things that are you're just waking up every day and basically following your impulse of I feel like going to Boston Avenue Church. I really like the organ. I want to have a podcast. These are the people I want to talk to. When we were we're going to invite Jamar on the show, Jamar well enough to know what you set the trap for yourself, my man.
And this is the point where it's so I'm who's
and then you have the boldness to be what's going on here? Yeah. Why are we always talking about these things with the guests that I'm curating?
Why does God keep coming up on this show? Why do people keep bringing it up? You're not God allowed. I have to go home and you're there's no such thing as God. There's no such thing as I won't change my mind.
I mean, that's when I say rescuing the baby from the bathwater. It's I also don't believe in a man in the sky with that is acting upon us. I think I feel very similarly to what Jamar said, which is realizing that we're kind of in God. It's kind of the universe is God. Like we're a part of it. Like it's like an organism in a way. And so like your realization, and even like for me, like I think like the most spiritually affirming things that happen are those things where like you change your story that you're telling yourself, and like you start playing with the idea of affirmations. You start playing with like, you know, my favorite question, like if anything could happen to me next, what would it be? And then like a few times, like that thing has happened to me. Like literally the thing that I was like, I want this to happen. This is specific. And I'm like saying it out loud and I'm writing it down and I'm doing, and then it's like, and then follow the intuitive impulses that are going to like lead you to that place. And then what do you know? Like now you're living in a new reality. And then you're like, oh my God, God is real. You know what I mean? Because you're like, you're understanding that's what co-creating means, is like you're starting to like be tapped into yourself, follow your passion, follow your impulses, and then you end up in a place where things are better than you could have imagined. And then you are like, oh shit, like this is spirituality. Like forget about like, you know, rules and rituals and, you know, all that stuff. It's like you living your life in a way that makes you feel alive, and realizing that the more you do that, the more you feel it. And then you end up having chance encounters, and you end up meeting incredible people, and you end up like sort of like having, you know, more and more transcendent experiences that like help you understand the magic of the world that we live in. And, you know, people call that God.
Right. Totally. Yeah. No, I think that like that's, I can't deny it, as you're saying, right? It's like it's there, it's everywhere. And I think that's part of this problem with that, is that like that kind of recognition leaves a lot more questions. It's like, oh shoot, okay, well then I don't have clear answers. And I think that a lot of what religion offers for people, or what a lot of people seek religion for, is answers.
Yes.
Right? They want the answers. They want to make sure they're right. Did I do it right or did I do it wrong? Because the book said and I did it. And it's like lawyers. They go to court and they're like, okay, so I know technically I'm a horrible person and I have no reason to have your respect. However, what you don't know, Exhibit B, I have been praying and I have been right with God. So despite my shitty behavior toward you, you're wrong, right? And it's like, okay, that is the part of it that like, I don't want to give that any credit. I think that's the part of like, even me saying like, I believe in God, it's still hard for me because I'm like, oh, somehow it feels so connected to religion and people who are like trying to then either use it as a way to be always in the right. And they're like, well, I asked God, I tried, yeah, I can't be held accountable. I have no guilt, because they don't want to like recognize that they're not. I don't know. It's that
might be the Tao Te Ching, but it's to know is not to know. So I think that's the thing. Like I kind of like asked Jamar a trick question, in that like I think we can have like a like working theory of like how it works, but I think there's always the humility of like,
I don't know.
I love the comparison is like we're just dogs trying to understand the internet. You know what I mean? It's like we can get close, we can, you know, feel like you know, and it's a refinement. It's like right now I'm feeling this, and then you get new information. You're like, oh, maybe it's actually like this, and it's like it's a living, evolving thing. But the humility is like, I'm not going to have like the closest I'm going to have is like a glimpse of an answer, maybe a transcendent moment, maybe with a psychedelic, maybe with like certain, you know, community experience, you know, there's
fasting.
There's like fasting. Yeah. There's definitely like ways where we can like peer into a window where it all makes sense and it's super clear. And like, we can be grateful for like whatever amount of time that lasts. But like overall, it's a humility of like, yeah, like I may not be capable of like actually understanding, and that's okay. But like, I'm pretty sure it's something like this.
I've been following peace and joy. And this is what's been bringing me peace and joy, taking responsibility for what I create and taking out and holding myself accountable for my own emotions. And if I get triggered from someone, I no longer point the finger at them. I start asking questions about, oh, this is really curious. Like, oh, this has more to do with me. Like my meditation teacher said, we transform the world by transforming ourselves. So, yeah.
It makes sense. It's like if that's really the only thing you have, and it's like, how much control do you really even have?
Of that, yeah.
You know, because I'm like, I don't know about you, but for me, it seems like I don't even know if it's majority of the time. It's enough. It's enough. I have enough control enough of the time, you know, and having grace for yourself, right? That's like one thing I that shout out to Boston Avenue Church, because I'm going and I hear sermons and they talk about these Christian ideas, and every now I'm like, gosh darn it, I agree with that, you know? And this idea of, this is supposed to be like an art podcast, but every time we end up, as Chris said, I think it's in there. But something that I think about, this through line of spirituality and creativity and like art making, is that there isn't like a book. You can go to school. Art school's great. They'll teach you how to wield your tools. But then what? Right? And this is like a thing, if you're ever gone to like art school or class for making things, there's a clear objective to get a grade, what you're supposed to do. There's a critique. You get your grade, and then you move on to the next course. But the reality is, outside of art school, it's nothing like that. To be an artist, to make music, right? There's no playbook, right? You can examine what other people are doing and what's succeeding about it, and maybe try to like pick it apart like an AI would, and be like, oh, it's this BPM and this frequencies and this notes and these chord progressions. But like, that's never what it really is. It's that other thing. It's that like weird mystery. And there's a quote that I think kind of ties up what we're talking about, that Picasso said, and he's like, computers are useless. All they can give you are answers. And I think about that, and it's like, oh shit, because the power is in the questions, right? The power is in the like, what if, right? To create something and to imagine something new, it isn't certain. If it's new, it's like never happened before. So if you have like, let me go back, and you have your playbook that like, this is what we do. Okay, well then, like, that is a form of creativity. But I think the really magical stuff, and the stuff that I'm like most interested in making and pursuing, is the stuff where it's really like, it's something within me. It's a feeling. I can't explain it. And like, the more I try to explain it, the worse I can explain it. It's like the further I get from it making any sense at all. And it's the things that make me, they excite something within me to face something that I've yet to face, or to take some challenge I've yet to overcome, or something like that. Maybe I'm getting too broad. I don't know if that's like making sense in a specific way, but you know, there's like a project Chris and I are working on, this big, how much of this can we talk about?
It's a big event.
It's a really big event.
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing I've ever been involved in, for sure. And it's this thing where like, there's so many things about it that are exciting. And this is maybe like something I have to examine as an artist, that once things become I start to understand them too much, they become too certain, then I'm like, oh, well, now I don't want to do it. Like, now I want it to be like, well, now it's almost like seeing how a magic trick works. Like, when somebody shows you, they're like, well, that's not magic. You just hid and then told me you lied is what it is. And it's like, well, that's magic. I don't know if that's making any sense at all, but I'm curious to know the mystery, right? Yeah, it's that's what it is. It's like, it's the not knowing, it's the mystery where all the magic is. And that's, I think, the thing within what religion can kind of lose in spirituality, is when you try to take them, you demystify. You're like, oh, all the answers are here in the word, and that's where it is. And now I know what the correct answer is, and who's right and who's wrong, and I can always be on the correct side of heaven or whatever. It's that mystery where there's the exploration. Yeah. That's where imagination happens.
You're to explore, right? Yeah.
So how do you feel like in your art, in your process of music and content creation?
So before I came to Tulsa, I needed like a clear end goal. I needed a goal. I had a very A-type approach to my art. And since I've been here, I've been painting. I've never considered myself a painter, you know what I'm saying? I'm writing again, like long form fiction and stuff, and just old forgotten passions that I had forgotten about. And since I'm not doing it for capitalistic reasons, I'm not trying to make money off of it. It's simply just a form of self-expression, and it feels amazing, and it feels liberating to not have an end game, just doing it for the love of it. I think that is what's been lost in modern day creating. Like we want. I can't speak for everybody else. I wanted to go viral. I wanted to make, like you were saying, my art was the tool I was using to be famous. And now it's like, well, how else I just want to get rid of the barrier that keeps me from myself. And so if I feel afraid to do it, I'm going to try it now. Like if it's out of my comfort zone, let's try it, because there's some gold in here. You know what I'm saying? So
we talked about that on a previous episode. It's like the fact that you feel resistance means it's worth examining.
It's worth examining.
The thing that you're just the example of like, you know, going and being a rocket scientist. Like, I don't feel a charge there. I'm not avoiding it necessarily. It's just like not
like why?
You know,
why?
Versus the like, oh, I couldn't do that. Oh shit. You know, that's the cave that you have to kind of like dig into, because that is what gold is. And
I use my partner and I, we use art as a form of our spirituality. We started painting in front of our altar at home, and just doing it by candlelight and just allowing the divine to be expressed that way as well, you know, ritualizing that, you know? So I once heard this quote a long time ago, that we're never more like God until we are creating. We're just like the creator. And so I'm a firm advocate that no matter what your form of self-expression is, whether it's baking that cake or decorating your house for Christmas, whatever it might be, get it out of you. Get that energy out of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I think about clapping hands and stomping feet. And I've been thinking a lot about technology, the intersection of technology and creative expression, and how now we're having to like re-examine what is creative expression with AI, and like how does that fit in? And as I've been thinking about, like, you know, a lot of musicians are like, gosh, I lost the moment where I could actually make a living off of this, because now you can't sell records. Like, it's not a thing. I'm not really going to make any money off of it. And the record industry is toast and it sucks. But then I'm like, yeah, but that's also a new thing. Like, nobody could fucking record shit other than writing it down and having another person perform it live. So like, you never had it in the first place. I'm sorry. And I'm feeling the same way toward visual artists who are just like, oh man, AI can make art and this stinks and it's not fair. We got to destroy it. And I'm like, dude, for you to be able to make something and duplicate it, that's a new thing. That's a really new thing. So you've always only ever had the original. And if you were never making like a one master thing, because you could like, well, then I can't share it on the internet and get it out there and post it. And it's like, that was a privilege that you were never owed, man. That's a new thing. So I've been thinking a lot of like fundamentals of art. Like, what is it really? What were like before any technology? And it's, you know, the human voice, right? There's an African proverb. Shout out to, I think it was Nas who was saying this with one of his records. He's like, if you can talk, you can sing. If you can walk, you can dance. And I think about that a lot. And it's like, yeah, the most ancient forms of practice, and not doing it for praise, not doing it to be famous, not doing it, but doing it. It kind of goes back to the Bible. I think it's Matthew. Jesus is talking about the man who prays in public and makes a big thing versus the person who does it quietly and privately. And I think about that with art practice, right? So you talking about making paintings and like writing, and I'm like, shoot, I didn't know about this. And it's like, yeah, Trueson, it's not for you right now, right? Like, this is for me. I'm making my art. This is my expression. And that's something that I'm always like, it's a difficult thing once I set the story that I'm going to make my living off of my art. Now everything I make feels like it always has to go into some like hierarchy of sales and who's going to buy it and what's the audience, and that's where art goes to die. So I know that. So I'm constantly trying to battle, like, how do I stop caring or stop thinking about what it's going to be outside of this moment of me making it, and stay in the mindset of making it. I don't know. Do you ever have to deal with that?
Yeah, you know, there's these great Buddhist practices for detachment, like detaching from the outcome. I used to get so much anxiety before I would put out a song, because I was afraid of these unnamed people criticizing it, saying it's the worst thing they've ever heard, it not going anywhere. And so it would actually like freeze me, and I wouldn't put anything out at all. And finally I was just like, you know what, screw it. I have something to say. If it goes nowhere, great. But what do I have to lose? Like, you know, I feel like this, man. Once I started learning that art is another form of nervous system regulation, that's when I really got on board with it, because we're walking around like tense with these high cortisol levels, like going off on our partners and our pets and our kids, right? And if we are able to bring ourselves to a sense of calm by giving our inner child, like our inner child liked to color when we were growing up, liked arts and crafts for a reason. There was something so regulating about just getting lost in the flow state of creation. And then my affirmation is I get paid well for my energy. And so that can be artistic energy, that can be me singing, that can be me speaking. That way I can just create for fun, and some way, somehow my gift is going to make money for me. And it has for the last 14 years.
Dang. See, I need to figure that out. This goes back to like
Have you ever played with affirmations? Like, have you ever said things out loud that you
Especially in the mirror.
Yeah, a mate. I don't think so. See, that feels too spiritually, like I call it like woo-woo stuff,
Yeah,
where I'm
it's
just
a
like,
little woo-woo.
I'm not doing that. That's not real. I'm not gonna do it. No.
the
And-
invitation is to test it
Mhm.
and prove
Yeah, but I'm like, what if it's real though? What if it works out and my life is better and it's improved? Oh no.
Sounds like that.
Oh no, then they'll be right. I'll have been wrong.
Shout out to Louise Hay, who has since passed on, but she wrote this book called Mirror Work, 21 Days to Change Your Life. And it sounds like self-help, but there is something, like, how many times do we look in the mirror and criticize everything we see? Even if we don't say it out loud, internally we're like, oh man, we're like hemming and hawing over our face and over. I cannot begin to tell you how much it changes your day when you look at yourself in the eye and say, I love you. I'm really proud of you. You're trying your best. I see you trying your best. I forgive you. Okay, hey, yeah, you lost it out there. I'm still with you. I got you. People mess up all the time. I got your back. I love you. And when you start to change your inner dialogue, it literally changes your outer dialogue, and it changes how people relate to you. It changes how you take in situations. There's that self-compassion, that radical grace you were talking about earlier. Yeah, it's just another way to show your inner child that I'm willing to reparent you in a way that you didn't get growing up.
And I would just add to that, it's like, again, the fact that you feel resistance to doing that reveals. But Trueson, if you're completely happy with everything in your life and you just want things to continue exactly as they are, you don't have to change it.
Listen, the last thing I want is any improvement. I don't want my life to get better. Can you imagine that?
Boo.
Yeah.
Boo to
It is a weird paradox, though, because like the having deep appreciation for where you are creates more good things. But I think like I used to have a problem where it's like, well, if I too deeply appreciate my current state, then I'm sending the message to the or like I'm telling the universe that like I'm okay with where I'm at and I don't want more opportunity. And I don't like, because I'm so happy and I'm so grateful for what I am. So I was like resisting gratitude for where I'm at because I'm a striver, and I'm achiever. So like, but there is a weird paradox where like the more you appreciate things exactly how they are, the more things will change for the better.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely.
It grows, right? So
I'm a strong believer of that.
Yeah,
I've experienced that
science.
firsthand. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And that's the thing that like led me to start going to church is that though I am like atheist, I use that in air quotes. I'm saying a deconstructed atheist, maybe agnostic. I was baptized. I go to this church every
I feel like
You're
everyone's
Methodist
an
now,
like
brother.
Yeah, I'm a Methodist. Yeah.
Agnostic just means you don't know. And I think that like a lot of that could apply to a lot of people, right? Like even if you're like just to the point of like there is like we're dogs trying to understand the internet. Like there's no real way of like knowing it works like this and this is exactly so it's like we're all agnostic in that sense because like we're all doing our best to figure it out and we're operating with like the information that we have based on our life experiences. But I think atheism is a faith.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, because the thing is to say that something isn't,
Yeah.
right? Like that's a very bold claim to say something isn't. And that's kind of like where conspiracy theories are allowed to exist. It's like, well, you can't prove that it didn't happen. And it's like, all right, well, I can't prove that it didn't happen, that George Bush knocked the towers down. Like I don't have any evidence to say that he, you know what I mean? But I think there's the thing that I was like, it's such a great point too. Oh yeah, with the affirmations and confidence in that, I I'm just always following the research. So the research says people who are religious and participate in some kind of mystical practice are happier than those that don't. And all the atheists, we don't deny that. We're just like, yeah, I mean, if the data is there, the data is there. And that was one of the things that I looked at that led me to start doing the parlor, was that I could see that I was lacking community. I was lacking a depth of relationships beyond just my partner. And I knew that I needed ritual and ceremony in my life. And I think artistic and creative people are like, we're the most in need of that kind of thing. And so I'm like, well, how do I do this? Because I just wasn't ready to go back into a church. I was like, that is never going to happen. I couldn't imagine that. So that was what led to like the salons and why it's so heavily churchy feeling, because it's like we do it in the morning as a state of reverence. You're in my house, so it feels sanctified. And we have that kind of that humility that everybody's going to bring so that we can get in the right mind state. But I am not trying to like, I don't believe that, I don't intend there to be any kind of spiritual power that I'm leveraging. To me, I always think it's like, well, that's psychology and that's how it works. And that's serotonin and that's the bonding chemicals. And that's like your body in the morning is different than at night. And because again, going back to the very beginning, I'm terrified of leading people astray. I'm terrified of thinking that I know, that I have this confidence that I'm like, I'm going to do this thing at my house. And we're going to have people and it's going to influence them. It's going to impact them in some kind of way. And it's the most terrifying when people are grateful, when they're done and they're like, oh my gosh, this was amazing. And they shake my hand, and I'm just like, oh my Lord, have mercy. I'm like, don't do this. Don't compliment me. Don't tell me this is life-changing. That's way too heavy.
I mean, maybe, two things can be true. Right? It can be life-changing, and that can also be a heavy mantle to wear if you choose to see it as heavy. I think that the thing that you are afraid of doing, you're already doing it, and you're doing it really well. And you're bringing people together. You don't have to call it church. You don't have to call it religion, but you are providing people with something to get plugged into. And when we leave the parlor, we feel like we've bonded. We feel that connection. My friend Shakol, she was like, I feel like I'm leaving church. And so I would say that, man, yeah, your ego is messing with you because you're doing the thing. Yeah. And you're doing it really well. And it's okay to make mistakes publicly. It's okay to change your mind.
Oh my gosh.
It's okay to be human publicly.
See, this is for me, I'm like, I need to practice what I preach, because when it comes to art, I'm just like, just do it. Just do it. Make it terrible. Make your point that's tone deaf and offensive. Go ahead. It's art. If people don't like it, that's their fucking problem. Like, don't edit your work. But now I'm like, oh shit. I feel like what you're leading me to recognize is having that same kind of confidence in other aspects that are not like a painting or performance art, to think it more as like a person and radical self-expression. And
I would go so far to say that all of it is spirituality. Like there is no separation. All of it is, if I truly believe that we are divine beings having this human experience, then everything you do is holy. And even having a realization after a mistake is just as holy. Yeah.
Damn, we just had our own. You're supposed to be the guest, not me. I have you see the big table? I'm supposed to ask you the questions. Man, this is Jamar. This has been amazing.
Thank you, man. This is why you guys have been on it, though. Like, this is I've been really, really vibing with you guys now.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, a pleasure, man.
Dude, absolutely. I'm like,
yes.
What have we not touched on?
Yeah, I don't know.
It kind of feels like Trueson might need a minute to just like integrate.
I actually wanted to talk more about the content creator side of it as an art form. Sure. And this is the thing, I think a lot of artists and creatives, myself included, have found ourselves making posts on social media and being somewhat of an influencer. Yeah. And to me, it's with a lot of resistance. I'm like, I don't know. And it might be like my own self-critic about it, but it's creation, right? And I've always told other people that like it's its own medium. To me, it looks like a completely separate creative medium than what a lot of people like me, who's like, I'm a painter and I want to get on there, or a performance artist or whatever else I'm doing. I want to leverage this to get viewers to look at this other thing. Yeah. And what I've been learning is that that's not why people get on there. They get on there to see the stuff on there. They're not interested in like, I'm going to get on here to find something that will take me off the platform. So trying to figure out, oh man, how do I make something that fits in here? I don't know. It's how has that been, that journey for you?
Well, again, I joined TikTok to start promoting music, and then ended up talking about everything but music somehow. You're right. People don't go in and say, hey, I'm looking for the next piece I'm going to buy, my next favorite song. But they're looking to be entertained.
Mm-hmm.
And you literally have 0.7 seconds to grab someone's attention. And so there is an art form in grabbing someone's attention right away to keep them from scrolling, right? But I changed my perspective as looking at it. I thought it was very cringe. Again, I thought I was too old for this. But when I realized that not only was it helping me with self-expression, it was helping me see what I believed. Like I was talking about what I believed out loud and seeing it and then having it reflected back at me. It was extremely therapeutic. And even the videos that didn't do well were therapeutic. Like all of it was perfect. Learning myself more. And then even checking myself, like, are you being real right here? Are you being authentic? And so I think that content creation is really great fun for trying new things.
I find it so difficult so you said the intention of like, okay, I want to be authentic, but there's like, it's a little bit of like a trap because there's no way, like you're always curating what you put out there. Like you're choosing it. Like there are videos that you probably have not posted for whatever we're all editing ourselves. Like we dress a certain way, we show up online a certain way. And it's like, even authenticity that is like truly like, I really think I'm being authentic. It's like, like, we're not just like letting a camera roll in our living room and like, here's my 4 hours of my entire afternoon. I'm being authentic. You know what I mean? Or the people that are like, I think there's some people that like perform vulnerability. So like, the people that just like set the camera and now they're sobbing in the car and it's like here, look how vulnerable I am. Like I'm crying on camera.
But is that vulnerable?
Vulnerable? I think like my actual answer to that is like vulnerability in posting is like posting the thing that you like actually don't want to post.
I feel like,
but like you can be, I guess, like, yeah, but you can be authentic short of that. I'm just saying like it's a little bit of like a tricky thing to like.
Yeah, how do you do it?
How do you actually feel like this is authentic?
For me, I learned the hard way, just not post things just to post. So when I was trying to post every single day, I was inauthentic. I was trying to keep up with trends. I was saying things maybe I didn't fully believe in, but it was trending. So you want to stay like in the algorithm. If you put out good content, the algorithm's going to keep you. And so that's why right now I haven't had anything to say for the last 6 days. And when I have something to say, that's when I'll say it. I learned though that when I get in front of that camera and I'm being anything but Jamar, the video will not do well. It will not. People will see through it. They'll scroll. I don't know what it is I'm putting off, but it's not me. But when I feel that passion and that fervor, then I know that it's something that I need to say in that moment. But I also needed to learn that not everything needs to be said all the time. There's a lot of people that are just talking too much right now. I feel like there's a gift in knowing when to be quiet and when to say something. And that's how I check my authenticity. Of course, there's no one size fits all for everyone. And I learned a lot through trial and error. I've been doing this now for 5 years, so 4.5 years. So I've had a lot of time to make mistakes. Yeah.
Man, it's interesting. Are you ready to start your influencer page, Chris?
I don't think that's my specific
man, you have a lot of wisdom, brother.
Well, that's why I put myself on the podcast.
I think let's go one step further. Chris Davis. The answers. He's got it all. What he's telling you is true.
No, man. I think like everyone has medicine that they can offer the world. And I think that like we all, especially like, I'm 40 now and it's like, I feel like I have enough life experience now that I actually have a younger self to talk to. I think like, but everyone has a different journey, and like I'm a one step at a time. I'm like, it was a big moment for me to be like, I think I'm supposed to like be on the podcast that I started, and then it's like you know, the event that we're doing is like much more. I've done a lot of big events, but like this one feels personal. Like, you know, I've done a lot of work where I'm supporting other artists where like they're the visionary and I'm like the background. So it's been, you know, a process of me like getting more comfortable being a leader and being more out front, because I don't think that anyone's calling is to like be invisible or be in the background. But yeah, it's like, it's delicate because I mean, Lord knows there's a lot of white men talking online about a lot of shit. You know, it's like I have that voice of like, well, do we really need another person? Like, and that's the answer that I've come to. But then it's like the frequency and like how often and in what ways and so yeah, like this is feeling good for me right now.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's something that I've like thought about because I have a lot of opinions and I believe they're right.
You have a lot of wisdom too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I've been joking today of like, I'm a pretty smart guy. I'm a
This
very
is the third episode in a row that he has gone out
I'm
of
a
his
very
way.
smart person. Despite all the evidence, I'm a smart person. Yeah. That's actually, I'm so smart that I'm tricking you into thinking that I'm not. So you underestimate me. No, but yeah, it's something that like I feel like my use of social media has been. I know that it's like not the tool, though I am supposed to use it. And hearing what you said, this is a thing I've known about. Just like all creative stuff, what makes it succeed is the thing is good. Like what you're doing. If your shit is dope, people will like it. It's not because this person put it on that label and sent it out and distributed. Like people aren't going to buy CDs and listen to music that's whack and going to put it on every day and be like, all right, time to hear this song I don't like. Like fundamentally, no, right? It has to actually be good. There's got to be something there. And yeah, so if you're making content and you're trying to like chase a trend or do a thing that's going to be interesting, or you're like, oh, put on some makeup and like have some crazy background to get attention, like that's a waste of my time. I don't want to see that. But if I'm seeing something that's true and sincere, which unfortunately is kind of novel these days, it's rare that you get to see somebody who's like truly telling the truth for whatever they know it to be. That is something that's like a universal thing. I think that's what the greatest art does. It's pointing out to some truth that like words on their own or like intellectual deconstruction on its own can't inform you. It's like a feeling. It's a thing. I've been thinking about intelligence and perception. So I believe that everything that is alive is conscious. So the way that I think about consciousness is not a prefrontal cortex consciousness where you have a language and self-reflection of that language isn't necessarily conscious, because you were conscious before you learned how to speak. And if you don't know how to speak, that doesn't mean you're not conscious. Consciousness is something else. It's an awareness of reality. And trees are aware of reality because their roots pursue the water and they avoid the rocks and their leaves tilt toward the sun. So they're clearly aware of reality, and they harbor the right kind of bacteria that protects them and enhances their life and all that. And so is the bacteria is conscious because it's doing what it's doing, down to the little white blood cells in your body are like they're responding to stimuli the same way that we are. And the thing about intelligence that's interesting to me is that there are creatures that have far less information than you do, and they're really good at doing the same thing you're trying to do, carry on with the day, right? They have maybe antenna and that's it. And they just kind of poke around in the dark and feel, they can sense simple chemical signals. Oh, that's this pheromone. That must be Josh. Okay, cool. And then that's this pheromone. And that's it. And yet they're able to have a full life and explore the world in a way that we'll never get to know, reproduce if they're lucky, and let the cycle continue. And I think about, there's this, whatever it is that's governing that, it's this idea of instinct. And instinct to me is like the most annoying caveat for recognizing the intelligence in life that's all around us. You see a bird and it builds this beautiful nest. And people say, well, how does it do that? So, oh, it's instinct. And I'm like, no, that's intelligence. Instinct is also a form of intelligence. Anything that's like navigating the world in a way is displaying intelligence in the sense that it's doing what it's trying to do. And so we have that in us, that intelligence that has some deeper, doesn't need language, doesn't need context and constructs and and a point of view or all that it just like inherently knows. Trying to find that. Maybe that's what it is. It's like, is that the thing?
That intelligence to me is what I call God.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think that for me, the journey has been getting quiet enough to hear it. Yeah, and that's what I mean by a regulated nervous system. You know, one of my favorite Old Testament stories is when Elijah was trying to hear from God, and he didn't hear the voice of God in the earthquake. He didn't hear them in the windstorm. He heard it in a still small voice. And that's why, to me, getting quiet and intentionally observing my breath and meditation, that's how I get to hear that instinct tell me what's next for me. Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Man, I think that's a beautiful note to end on, man. That's beautiful. Do you have anything, we always give the guest the opportunity to share, do you have any music releases coming up, anything that you want to draw people's attention to, or you can just share how to follow you and all that?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, the Jamar Rogers. I'm on TikTok, Jamar Rogers. I just released a song with Lucas Estrada a few weeks ago called Weightless. I have one coming out with a French duo, the Lonely Brothers, in a few months. Couple of other projects with some DJs in LA. And I'm right now, man, I'm living life. I don't know what's next. Yeah, I'm just kind of like floating through Tulsa town and letting the wind guide me. It's been great. Thanks for having me.
Well, that concludes the time we have for today's show. I want to thank Ian Upton, Citizens of Sound, Pop House Music, the historic Riverside studio, and of course me for putting on this fantastic production for you. And with that, remember to
keep the channel open.